Welcome to the Virginia is for Laughers podcast, brought to you by the Funny Womax and Friends. If you're looking to get more out of your Shenandoah Valley experience, then this is the podcast for you. You'll meet interesting people, musicians, and comedians that perform here and find out more about what you can do and see. Whether you live here or plan to visit, listen to explore what makes our unique slice of heaven. Now here's your host, Don Davis Womack.
Hello, Laughers. Before we jump into today's episode, I want to take a quick moment to share something with you from the heart. Over the last 4 years of doing this podcast, I have definitely learned, grown, and met some truly amazing people. And lately, I've been reflecting on how much this journey and life in general has evolved. So I'm in the process of shaping a new direction for the show, one that will still bring you stories of creativity, community, and laughter, but in a fresh way that better fits this next chapter. I can't wait to share more with you in the weeks ahead, but for now, we've got a great one for you today. So let's dive in and have a conversation with our guest, comedian and screenwriter Noah Miller. Noah is based in New York City. After 11 years working for the Coast Guard as a helicopter pilot, he made the natural transition to comedy and has not looked back. We're so excited to welcome him back to the show and ahead of his headlining at our new comedy club at Massanutten Resort on June 7th. Welcome back, Noah. It's great to have you on today.
Hey, thank you, Don. So good to be here.
You look amazing. You don't look like you've aged a day since we saw you last.
Yeah, well, you look even younger. So, yeah.
Those kinds of things get comics booked more.
Exactly. I'm trying to make a July 7th date as well. No, I'm just like second time on your show, second time on the pod. So yeah, it's just good. I'm cementing my legacy here.
Yes, and you will be part of the early days of the comedy club at Massanutten Resort.
I know. I can't wait. It's gonna be fun.
It is so exciting. We are so pumped to be partnering with them and vice versa. It is energy equally exchanged about fulfilling the vision of making the Shenandoah Valley a premier destination for stand-up comedy. So
yeah,
that is amazing that you're going to be a part of this. Let's
do it. It's like Borscht 2.0. Like this is
exactly like that. Let's do it.
The vacation, people come watch comedy.
That's
go
right.
on a hike. That's how you do it.
That's it. That's the Catskills you're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
See, not for context, not everybody knows that.
Yeah, but. Sorry, I'm spouting comedy history back here. But yes, no, that was like a famous comedy destination, Catskills, Northern New York. A lot of comedy scenes started out of there. And but yeah, I do think like Shenandoah does seem like that similar vibe. Like,
doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got,
It's got
if you could see like a black bear during the day and a comedy show at night, that seems like that's
living.
The vibe.
That's living right there.
It's living.
That's
exactly.
living. Well, thank you again for coming on the show. I can't wait to dig in with you and catch up and see what you've been up to. But first, Laughers, I want to let you know we are excited that we're a part now of the Audible Creator Program, which means you can get a free audiobook when you click on the link in the show notes. And when you sign up for a free trial with Audible, then that kickback comes back to the podcast to help it grow and create more amazing content for you. So let's do that, Laughers. We are looking for your support, and we appreciate all the support you've given us so far. So let's ask you, Noah, first question. Flying helicopters and doing stand-up both require guts, but in different ways.
Sure.
He's laughing. So what has been scarier for you? Facing turbulence in the air? Or silence in the crowd?
Well, if you've seen my act, nobody's ever thought I was bad, so it's never been silent. And no, that's a very good question. Definitely two different types of fears. I'd say cumulative because now I've been doing comedy a little bit more. I like, you go on stage sometimes 3-4 times a night, and so that I think I've probably had more experience with fear in comedy, but not as existential, I guess. Fear and flying. Now that only happened a couple times where I was flying and it got like actually squirrely, where it was like, this could be bad. That fortunately that was like only a handful of times. So I got to say, comedy just how many times it happens where, like, it happened to me last night where I was going on stage. You just kind of get this rush over you, like, oh shit, like we're about to start, like we gotta buckle down now. But it is also very exhilarating at the same time. But yeah, I've never thought about the pre-show jitters and the pre-flight jitters. Kind of similar, yeah.
They're really similar.
Yeah.
What did they teach you, or what does each teach you about facing your fear?
Oh, you just got to do it.
Yeah.
There's no, like, I don't know. I've heard a lot of advice on either way. When you're nervous, like, do this, calm down, drink water. It's not going to be bad. Like, everyone tries to explain to you how it's not going to be bad, and it's like, that never helps me.
Because it's bad.
You just have to do it. Yeah. Like it is. Let the nerves wash over you. Like, I'm going to be nervous. And then, but I don't know. I've never had a time where I just couldn't, like, I've never had a time where I was literally frozen. Like, I couldn't perform. Unfortunately, in both of these things, flying and stand up flying, that'd be pretty devastating. Yes. Yeah. But stand up too, like, I don't know, your body's, something's going to happen, and you're going to be fine. So yeah, just embrace the nerves, embrace the fear, and you just got to do it. That's about it.
That's good. Now, a lot of people stay stuck in careers that feel safe.
Yeah.
Right? Even when they're unfulfilling. What gave you the courage to leave a stable job like the Coast Guard to pursue something as uncertain as comedy?
Oh, that's very interesting. I don't know. I think it was a little bit like a fear of, like, missing the boat a little bit, because there's the fear of, like, you could get into this thing like comedy and it's gonna go nowhere, and you're gonna lose all your money, blah blah blah. But yeah, standard stuff.
Or just try to make some.
Yeah. Yes. Or trying to break even. But like the fear of missing it and not getting to try it, for me, is what, like, really motivated me, because I kind of made that jump, you could say, like late 20s, and for a lot of, I listen to a lot of comedians. I listen to a lot of comedians who struggled for 20, 30 years, and they're like, it takes that long sometimes. And so I'm like almost 30, and I'm like, wait a minute, so plus 30, like, you're trying to figure out when you can make it. Yeah, I do the math. Like, what?
I'll have my AARP card by the time.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, wait, so when I make it, I'm going to be held. So like, I think both of those fears are equally motivating. And for me, like, I don't attribute it to a lot other than, like, it was scarier not to try it than to just go on like the normal path. I also always had, like, a thought where I was just like, you know what, like, well, I'm married, so I got that going for me. She's got a good job. And then
that helps.
I was like, worst case scenario, like, I'll do whatever. I'll do anything. Like, I'll go wait tables. I'll drive for Uber. Like, I'm gonna be employable, So like, it might not be as, like, comfortable as it could have been, but, like, I'll figure something out. So that was always my rationale at the end of the day. Like, even if worst case nothing works, then I'll just do something else, I guess. Yeah.
Did you give yourself a time frame, or you're just playing it by ear as you go? Did you say something
Playing.
like playing by ear?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
never had like
If
I've
I don't
heard
make it
people
in
with
5 years,
time frames,
yeah, exactly.
and that always like I think that would make me really nervous because yeah, I do think you need to feel urgency because I've also
Mm-hmm.
seen the opposite where people are like whatever and like they'll never change their set, they'll do the same thing over and over again. So I think you need to feel urgency and you need to feel growth, like or you
Mm.
need to be growing, but like no, I'm kind of just like my thing. Like when I stopped working, this does not sound like a great strategy, but I was like, it's the kick the can down the road philosophy, where you're like, I'm gonna see how long I can go without getting a real job again, or at least like a full like 9 to 5 outside of like stand up or writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's still the plan is to just keep kicking the can down the road for that. So
See what happens.
no time limit. Just yeah, hope just staying as long as I like it, as long as I think I can still find my way through.
That sounds good. Well, does that mean also, well, let me re-say this.
Yeah.
Was it comedy more of a calling or a risk when you were transitioning out of the military?
So like a risk as in
Did it
uh
a risk? Well, you go ahead. A risk as
well,
in what?
I guess I did really feel a pull
Mm,
towards like I really did like I did I'm not a big sentimental guy, but
okay.
like I did have like a moment where I was like, I gotta give this a shot. Like, I
Mm.
really need to try this. But then also in that moment, it's not like the next day, like called my boss, like, I'm out, dude. But like it was like still a long time, long plan to even get to a spot where I could just like now I live in New York. Even getting there was like a long term thing. So I think I was like pulled into comedy. I was pulled into entertainment by um by just like really wanting to do it and
Mm.
really liking and appreciating comedy. Like that's the big motivating factor. And I guess the risk part of it is like, yeah, not getting to do it. But I guess the want to do it is still like stronger. Like that's
Mm.
what's keeping me in it. Don, like if you're just like, this is not a get rich quick scheme by any means. Like
No
if you
laughers. It is not.
I've 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 met people who
Ah.
are just like, oh yeah, like, and so then when does it all just like click and you like, I don't know, you tell me. Like it never. Like yeah,
Ah.
you have to really just be into it because you're into it. And so I think the love for it is still like what keeps you on board.
Mm. What was that moment? Where were you when you realized that or had that
It
moment?
was funny because it wasn't even comedy related. I was at a
Mm.
concert and but it was just like it was really it was at Voodoo Fest in New Orleans. Rest in peace, because that festival stopped.
Mm.
It's been COVID, but yeah, I was just at a concert and like uh, I think just seeing like artists and people really responding to them
Hmm.
and kind of being swept up in that. Like there's people that are on stage or living out their dream, and there's a lot of people that just like adoring fans and stuff like that. And you're like, oh man, like it can't happen. Like they probably started in the
Yeah.
same kind of spot. It can't happen. But like if you don't put your foot into it, you're never going to know. You're never going to be able to. You're never be able to see if you could do it or not. So
Yeah. I do relate to that completely. That what if? What if I
yeah,
tried?
yeah,
What's the worst thing that could happen? You know,
right,
I
right,
don't make it, but I for
yeah,
sure
exactly.
won't make it if I don't try.
Yeah. No, it is. It's like people will hear that, but like when you do it, it's a lot different feeling. Yeah.
Walking it out, some
Yeah.
days you're on the big high, like this is the reason went into comedy. It's the
Yeah.
best show ever.
Exactly.
And then you'll have other challenges that come along and you're like, now why am I doing this again?
Yes. Exactly. All the time.
It's
All
like
the time
a push pull.
It's yeah.
What made you want to start comedy in the first place? Are you a lifelong comedy fan? What's happening there? And where did you start?
I think
can't
that's
remember.
it more than anything.
Yeah. That's it more than anything.
Oh, sorry. One second, Don.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know, my connection dropped out there for a second.
Okay.
Oh, I think I got you now. So, sorry, can you say that again? Just like,
Okay. Yeah. So I was asking you, like, what made you get into comedy in the first place? Was you were a lifelong comedy lover, or you saw something on TV and said, "Oh, I want to try that." What sparked your first
yeah.
contemplation to begin trying stand up in the first place?
I think yeah, it's the lifelong thing. Like I've always been drawn to it. I've always watched comedy like growing up as a kid. That was the thing where I was like, when I was a kid, like watching stand-ups, I would be like, oh, that's a dream job right there. But I never like voiced that opinion. I never told anybody that. I was like, of course I can't do that. And like nobody ever shot me down or anything. I just thought that was like too audacious. I think a little bit because I respected it so much. I was like, I can't. But then you grow up and you just kind of realize, yeah, nobody cares if you do it or not. Like, if you want to, go for it. And so that's what gave me the shot. I don't like. Yeah, I think I'm just maybe wired that way more than anything. I think there's like a tenant, like this Freudian thing where you're always like looking for like the cause and yeah, you're like, I had a piano as a kid, that's why I wanted to be a dentist or something. But I don't think there's like anything in my life that was like really other than just I've always liked it, I've always appreciated it, and yeah, like that reverence is like it's like. It kind of drives you to want to be good at it too, where you're just like, these are the people like I respect and I want to be like them in that way. So
was your first time doing comedy? I can't remember. Was it an open mic?
Yeah, it was it sure was. It was
it sure was.
It was in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Oh, yeah.
This is the first time I ever dipped my toe. I didn't get into comedy right away after this, but St. Petersburg, Florida it was in a warehouse where somebody was also living. So it's like as shabby as you can imagine. And I didn't know anything. I just like found it on Facebook or something. And like it was as simple as like, oh yeah, just like message us to sign up and you can do 10 minutes.
10
and like,
minutes
again,
is
I didn't,
lot.
Yeah. Well, so I didn't know anything.
When you've not done
okay.
it before.
Yeah, I've never done it before. And it was just like, but for me, I was like, well, cause I didn't know, I was like, oh yeah, this is just how you do it. But, I went there and, I watched a show there first and it seemed like nice and supportive. And then I went back, the second time and I did the 10 minutes and it was like, it was fine. It wasn't like people describe it as like out of body. It was not anything like crazy. It was just like fine. But I did the whole time. I wrote for 10 minutes. I did the whole time. So it was, that was the first time on stage.
You got your laughs.
I couldn't even tell you.
Oh, really?
I think there may have been like, I don't know. Like I describe, comedy is like you're kind of in this bubble when you're on stage and like in that that bubble like gets bigger and bigger as you become more comfortable. But like when you first start, you're like, I don't even know if I could physically see past the microphone because of just how like in my head and nervous I was. So like I really don't even remember a ton of the reactions. Like I had people come up after and be like, "Oh, it's good. Like good job first time. Wow, good job." But like, you also you kind of just say that to people too. So
That's true.
you're just supportive of people doing it for their first time. So like, I don't take anything big away from the first time on stage other than like, that was, it gets you on the road. Yeah.
Did you videotape it?
No. And
So there's no evidence of this.
No evidence. If there was, I would be horrified, I'm sure.
That can be good and that can be bad,
Yeah, exactly. Just in an air conditioned warehouse in St. Petersburg somewhere. It lives and dies there.
By the way, to go back a little bit, I think it's hilarious that you picked somebody wanting to become a dentist inspired from playing piano.
You hear this thing?
I just want to know why you connected those two things.
That's like the screenwriter, like the bad screenwriting example. Okay. I don't know. It always seems to be the thing where you like have to have like the clear moment, like, oh, this happened because of this. And I think it's always like a little more nuanced. I don't know why I went to piano and dentist. Just it just flipped out to me. But I do think that's like the outlandish cause and effect that people try to list for their reasons for doing something.
Yeah. I found that very interesting. So I just wanted to back up to figure out more about how Noah's mind works.
I did have a piano growing up, so I don't know. Maybe that was it.
There's the relatability and the connection. I see. But you do also screenwrite, and I was reading a little bit about you've won some awards, at the Austin Film Festival. Talk to us about what just happened there. Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, that was really cool. So screenwriting for me was like, actually, it was a motivation from stand-up where I was like, I see these stand-ups going on to make sitcoms. And I'm like, oh, let me cut the line here. I'll make the sitcom become a good stand-up. Like, so it was always stand-up motivated. But then you learn about screenwriting and it's this other insane field where it's like equally as or even more competitive than
really
stand up. Yeah, it's crazy. And even right now, there's like a little bit of realignment with like streaming and networks, and they're getting smaller. They're getting more. They're all kind of folding into each other, and so there's fewer jobs. There's less content. Anyway, it's a big mess. But the point being, like, it's just like it's as or more competitive. But by getting stand-up motivating me to get into it, I tried it and I really like it. It's like this very cool art form, and it's very fun. Also very frustrating, whatever. But it's a good time. And one of the scripts I wrote, made it to a final. It was a finalist at Austin, which is like one of the better like screenwriting competitions out there. And that kind of like launched me. That like actually gave me a view into the world of it a lot more than I had been before. Cause you go to Austin and there's like so many great writers and there's all these great panels. And that's when I really learned like, oh, these people are like, you got to come to play in this world. Like you got to always be pitch ready. Your scripts have to be so tight. You always got to just be, you got to be on top of it out there. So, but that was a really great experience and like learning about that. And that's another world where, you could be at it for 10, 15, 20 years before you break into it as well. So, That one's just, that's where I'm just like, I try to write a script or two a year and work my way up, meet more people, see who it resonates with, that kind of thing. So,
Are the scripts sitcoms that you're writing then, since that's the
yeah,
direction you want to go?
they used to be like primarily, I just wrote like my first feature recently, and that was really fun too.
Nice.
So I
Yeah.
think it's kind of like just to go where like kind of the writing takes you or whatever. So uh, I did a couple. I've written like a handful of like sitcom pilots, and but I've wrote a feature, and that was really fun. So I don't know. I might do the next one as like that as well.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who
Who knows?
knows? Was it a comedy? Are they all comedy? Or are you getting into drama
There's all
too?
comedy in I'd say the last thing
Okay.
was there's a little drama, but like they really want you to stay in your lane there in that field.
Okay.
They're like, you can't just go from horror to,
Mm.
documentary. So yes, definitely all have like comedy is the thing I like to do and make. So they'll all have a little bit of comedy, but like the last thing I wrote had a little more heart and maybe sadness to it
Yeah.
as well. So
The little heartstrings.
yeah, exactly.
Comedies can do that. It's one of our favorite things about Modern Family was that pattern of
Yeah.
hilarity. And then they close the show with these heartstring moments. And so you're laughing, laughing, laughing. And then to the end, you're like, "It's gonna cry."
Yeah. Oh, they were so
Yeah.
good at that. Modern Family is a great show for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Pulling on the heartstrings. Yeah, I love that show. It's one of my favorites for sure.
Likewise.
They had a really great long run, didn't they? It was over
Really
10
long run.
years,
And
right?
there's the crazy one about that is their first season was like it used to be like shows didn't get good until like season 2 or 3.
Hmm.
And now shows don't have that luxury because they get canceled after the
I
first
know,
season.
and some really good ones
Some really
too.
good ones and a lot of potential. But Modern
Hmm.
Family was like so good in their season 1. And you're like, yeah. And then they went on for like, like you said, 9 or 10, I don't know how long.
I think it was at least 10, I want to say.
They had like at least
Yeah.
4 cast members born into the cast. So that's a good indication of how long.
Yeah, you're right about that. This example I'm going to give is a little bit older, but not by much. But there is, have you ever seen Grinder, or it might be The Grinder with Rob Lowe? Have you ever seen that?
No, I don't. I missed it.
Okay,
No.
listen, laughers. I'm just going to put it out there. What a treasure trove that comedy is. And if you haven't seen it, you really need to look it up. In fact, I love it so much, I will put it in the show notes for you because Rob Lowe, the whole cast was hysterical. And Rob Lowe, so hysterical. Like the whole premise of it is Rob Lowe's character's brother and the dad are working in a law office. And
Mm.
and Rob Lowe's character played a lawyer on TV. And
Mm.
he basically essentially loses his job and comes and lives with the family. And then they invite him into the law practice. And then he's all pretty sure he can
Oh,
do all the
that's
legal
fun.
things from his experience of being a lawyer on TV. It's just absolutely hysterical. It's
Oh wow, I've
so
never heard of
good.
this one. That's really cool. I got to check this out.
And we were so bummed, my husband and I, when there wasn't a second season. That should have gone on. We're like,
What
oh,
what year was
terrible.
this about that happened?
I don't know. I'm going to look that up right now.
It's funny because with Rob Lowe, it could have been come out in like 1988 or 2018. Like you don't
Yeah.
like
The
he's been
Grinder. Oh, it's
around
the
a long
American
time.
sitcom Grinder. 2015.
2015. Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
2015.
So he would have been doing Parks and Rec right at the same time. But
Oh, maybe so.
I guess he's able to
Maybe
still work
so.
around his schedule.
That's right. It is so good. Fred Savage is on there, Mary
Oh,
Elizabeth
cool.
Ellis. Yeah, it's William Devane. It is so great. Emmy nominated actor Rob Lowe stars as a famous actor, Dean Sanderson, who comes to a crossroads when his long running hit TV series in which he starred as a lawyer is canceled. Despite the lack of formal education, real life experience in the courtroom, or a license and bar certification,
That's
Dean
funny.
decides to move back to his hometown and join his family's real life law firm alongside his attorney brother Stuart. While Dean and Stuart initially don't see eye to eye, they end up becoming a formidable team in the courtroom, which they do. And how that happens is also extremely hilarious.
That's cool. I'll have to check it out. The Grinder. Is that
The
what it is?
Grinder, yeah.
Maybe it was too close a name to the dating app. And so they, just interference from that whole.
I don't know, but if they could ever revive it, I say they should. That's what my plea is out there.
Okay.
To entertainment moguls.
When you get your wish in entertainment, you're gonna say, "Bring back the Grinder."
Bring back the Grinder.
Yeah. Right.
If I have anything to say about it, the show will go on.
That's very funny. There's probably not a lot of pro Grinder advocates out there, but it come to dawn this podcast. This is going to be the premiere.
Yes, that's right. And you heard it
angle.
Here. That's right. You heard it here first, laughers.
That's right.
I want to ask you, what advice, Noah, would you give to someone who's standing at the edge of a big personal or professional leap but hasn't jumped yet?
Don't do it. No. I don't know. I think it's a super hard question to answer because there's so many circumstances outside of it. Because like I mentioned before, even when I did mine, it was like a pretty long process. And like there's financial considerations and then there's like relationship considerations. And fortunately my wife is like on board. Like she's biggest fan, biggest supporter, and like she's been so great in facilitating like everything. But I think a lot of people might not be, and like very reasonably so. like if you go to get into a relationship having never mentioned any like passion for this crazy career you want to get into, it might be very reasonable for a person to be like, hey, so what's this going to be like? But yeah, like read as much about it as you can. I listen to like so many podcasts like about like what to expect beforehand. I heard this story recently where like I won't, whatever, the comedian isn't important, but like this guy saw a comedian in San Diego and he was like, oh, I love it. I really want to get into it. And the comedian told him, oh, move to New York. As like one day, if you want to get good at comedy, move to New York. The guy like moved to New York like the next week, having never been on stage, having never.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And if you would have like taken the time to like research and listen to it, it's like, you probably don't want to actually come here right away, or maybe ever. Like you want to, like San Diego is a great city to start. You can get on stage in front of people much earlier. New York's like a really brutal place to start. It's one of those things where like keep the passion for it, keep like the drive you have for it, but like be smart about it, be strategic about it, like research it, and then find out the best way to do it and like have a plan. And again, it's a lot. It's hard to be like, yeah, I kind of have to be general because there's so many considerations for each person's life. But like, yeah, make a plan. And then if everything's like figured out, then it's after that, it's like, yeah, you do have to make the jump at some point. Like there was a point where I just had to have like a very tough conversation with like my work and stuff like that. And as it turned out, people were really supportive, but like it was very nerve-wracking going into it, where you're just like, oh, they're gonna hate me, and and my family's going to think I'm nuts and all this stuff. But like it's I think I mentioned it earlier. Like you kind of just realize, man, people don't really care that much. So like do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I think that's wise. There is something to be said about putting the cart before the horse in certain situations.
Yeah.
I think you put it perfectly. There's so many different considerations for each individual. Where are they in their life? How old are they? Where
Right.
Kids, marriage, a lot of different things. Yeah.
Like where you want to perform, what kind of track you want to do. Like, there's so much to think about. There's so
much to consider. And I think finding yourself in all of that and tuning into yourself in terms of
definitely
what sparks your joy and your creativity, because a lot of times the answers are all right in there.
And like, the finding like the spark in yourself, doing the stuff like you want to do. I think there's like a lot of people who are like, well, once I'm here, I'll do this, or I'll post a clip on social media every day. And it's like, well, try posting a clip on social media every day where you are right now. See if that's something you actually even like doing, because like it's very easy to be like, oh, once I'm there, I'll do that. It's like, we'll do it right now. See if that's actually a possibility or a thing you like to do. Because you'll find like a change of location or a change of occupation. It doesn't necessarily change your habits as much as you think it's going to be. Like if you can do it like consistently, give it a trial run too. So
I agree. That's good stuff. And you have been under life or death pressure as a pilot.
Yeah,
that is for sure. And now you are navigating the pressure of being funny on stage. How do you define pressure now as a stand-up comedian, and what's changed in how you handle the pressure?
Ooh, I think, interesting. Yeah, I don't think it's definitely like between like flying and comedy hasn't felt the same, but still just that panicky feeling. Like if I'm doing comedy, it's not going well, that will just come up no matter what. Like that always arises. I think before, like in my early days of stand-up, how I would have handled it would have just been like, I had no options other than to just recite the words that were in my head, because like you can't, like, it's back to the bubble thing. You can't even think. So like you really just got to learn into that. As you like spend more time on stage, you get a lot more tools. And so you can reach into the bag a little bit and try something new, which is very nice. Up here in New York, that's like a thing you have to do all the time, because you might have this new joke and then you go on stage and it's like 3 people from Sweden and, and a couple from Florida and just one other person. And they're like, oh, they're not going to understand this New York subway joke at all. And you just have to pivot, and you have to find ways to make stuff work. And in that, but the thing about that is like, I can still feel the panic in some situations, but it's becoming more like that. It's fun to crack a room, fun to crack the code. Like, what is going to get me on these people's sides, like that kind of thing. So in terms of like the pressure, it's like, like being able to, I don't know, not take it so seriously, especially because it's not life and death, being able to have fun with it. And like in certain situations, like I find myself like, even like in bad rooms, like when I'm about to go up and like this crowd sucks, I'm like, this is gonna be fun. Like you're
giving yourself
here.
The pep talk.
Yeah. Or even just like internally, like I can feel myself. Whereas like a few years ago, I'd be like, oh gosh, I'm about to go take a beating up there. Now I'm like, it'll be a good time. Like I'm gonna have a good time. it's like genuinely a fun experience. So yeah, kind of shifting to that frame of mind.
Mm-hmm. I feel that is a really great way to reset yourself before stepping on stage
Yeah.
is, everybody's here to have fun and you know your material. So just go have fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has a whole different vibe to it than
Sure.
the pressure we can put on ourselves to perform. But if we think of it more of a relationship and it's a two-way street and we're
Yeah.
having a conversation, even though it's not, you know, technically a conversation, it really is because there's a connection between the
Yeah.
audience and yourself, especially when it's really clicking because you're
Right.
being present and you're noticing, people's reaction to you, and then you're reacting off of that, and that can segue into all your bits, and it's a whole
Yeah. No, being
experience
present.
when you're being present and having
Definitely.
fun.
Yeah.
And the more fun, and they feel you having fun. So when you're having fun, they feel it. Now it's more fun because they want to be a part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, certainly. Yeah, like being present, like having a good time, which is not always easy to do, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Like when you find that like genuine, like you're just vibing with the audience, so it's like, it is a really good time. It's like a fun thing to be doing for sure.
Yeah. For me, it feels like I'm hanging out with a whole bunch of new friends.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, oh, good. Nice to meet you too, Nancy. What are you doing after the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. How has the discipline or structure from your military background helped or hurt you in the creative, often chaotic world of comedy?
Oh man, I don't know if it helped. I will say, like, I
don't know if it helped.
Well, I always, because like I think that's like people ask about it, and I'm like, well, there's nothing about being in the Coast Guard that prepared me or was supposed to prepare me for this. Like that wasn't their job. You know what I mean? And part of it's like, now that there's no structure in this, like you're doing everything on your own. And that kind of sucks about like, I did well in the military. It's like, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Like kind of, like colleges, like if I didn't go to the Coast Guard Academy, I don't know what I would have done. Like I would have just been like, like I was happy to have somebody tell me what to do and like, like wake up at this time, go to lunch at this time. Like it was cool with me. Like I did well in that environment. And so like not working like the 9 to 5 and it being incumbent on you to do everything is like, that's been a struggle. Like something I think about weekly is like, oh, I should have had this. And like, I wasted a lot of time here. And then also like, you don't really have weekends, which is weird. Like there's no, like, and not to say, I don't want to go back to it, but like my wife works a 9 to 5 right now. And it's, that is a whole different set of challenges. I'm not saying like, that's a very hard job to do, but when she comes home, it's like, bloop, done, off, turns off,
kick her feet up, have
watch
dinner,
show,
probably a glass of wine.
Like, yes, and I'm for me, I'm just like, there's not a day off. There's not a day off, and like I never relax, but like there's not a day off, and like there's no day in which I'm like thinking I shouldn't do anything because every day is a work day. Yeah. Every day is not a work day. Every day is a work day in that sense. So, so that's definitely a struggle that is completely different from like an organization like the Coast Guard, where it's like, all right, you do this, you do that. And that's a very typical thing. I will say a similarity though is like, especially in aviation, there's like very dedicated, very hardworking people, and like to get to the levels that a lot of these people get, you see like how hard they are. And it's not like I have a friend who's he's just like the best pilot, and not even me saying this, but like just got like the highest marks in flight school, just is so good. But the reason is he's incredibly passionate about aviation. It's not just like a job. It's like he loves doing this. And when you see that, you're like, oh, if you're passionate about like comedy in that same way, which I am, then that's going to be something you can dedicate that much time towards. So like it's in a way that I didn't feel that with same way about aviation, like somebody like he did. I do feel that way about comedy. So you kind of see the dedication it takes at those levels to be very good and to succeed, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would think some of the discipline background, I imagine for you, does come helpful in the off the stage
Yeah,
tasks and things that we comics do between
probably like,
shows.
yes,
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
like a bit underappreciated by me because I'm like, yes, I do, like I put a lot of stuff together and I work a lot, but I just I don't know. I never think about it. My thing is like I I'm I'm not a morning person at all, and for like and so to break that routine, I was so happy for the first like few months of getting out of that. But I do think there is like probably some of that like discipline is you can't unlearn or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But I
go ahead.
stopped waking up early. I did unlearn that. I did unlearn that very
And
quickly.
it seems like you were very happy to unlearn
Oh,
this.
so happy.
Yeah, I think for some laughers, aren't stand-up comedians would probably like to learn a little bit about the discipline and tasks that we do when
Hmm.
we're off stage in between shows. So what are some of those things that we do or you do, Noah, when you're not performing that helps you keep growing as a stand-up comedian? Some of the business side, some of the creative
Mm.
side.
Oh gosh, business side is a nightmare.
A lot of
It's
people don't realize that. So this is
it's
a little
yeah.
education. Yeah.
Well, so I mean, I'm saying like 95% of what I'm talking about is social media.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still like really fun things to be
Mm-hmm.
done on it, like very fun thing.
Yeah.
This is a good time, like talking to people, like this is a good time. But then after this,
Yeah.
it's gonna go into editing. You're gonna listen back, and you have to cut through, and like all that stuff is like very tedious. And for me, like if you go on my socials, there's like a lot of sketches on there. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of there's stand-up clips and stuff like that, and a lot of it's fun to like do and shoot, but then people don't know like I do these sketches sometimes with like these three other guys, and to just get three schedules lined up, it's like pulling teeth, and you got to write the script, and you got to edit it, you got to send it out, and then you got to shoot it, and shooting takes a couple hours, and then I'm talking, and this is not for like this is not a movie I'm talking about. This is
Mm-hmm.
like a 47-second video. Well, sometimes takes 4 hours to edit with the music and the cuts and all the stuff. And then you do all this work, and then you put it out to the world. Like, I made this beautiful thing, and it gets like,
10
2,000 views or
views.
whatever it is. Like, yeah, I was being
Yeah.
optimistic, but but it's so much work behind
Yeah.
the scenes for like a lot of these things, but that seems to be the currency now. Whereas like, back in the day, it's like a late night spot makes your career. Now it's like your follower count or whatever makes your career. And so it's one of those things you got to plug away at. And then, I mean, I haven't even talked about the stand-up part of it. It's like you're writing jokes all the time. Any
Mhm.
thought that comes across your head, you're going to put it, for me, I put it in my phone.
Me too.
And then at the next open mic, like I'm going to be going to a mic today at 6 and 7:30. And that's when they're going to come out. I'm going to try the new bits or whatever. So, so it's just like, that constant cycle of creating content, or thinking of like conceiving, writing, performing, and then editing, and keeping all that stuff up to date. But
That,
it's putting it in so many places. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like you got to have
Yeah.
TikTok, you got to have Instagram, you got to have Reddit's now really popular for stand up.
I was hearing that
Facebook,
recently. I was like,
YouTube.
holy cow.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
one format, people. And just,
I know.
it's
Yeah.
what I would really
Yeah.
like. And then you're even the booking part of it.
Oh yeah, the book.
And connections with bookers and submitting
Yes,
your
right.
video
Sorry,
to new
I didn't even think about that. But
markets
yes,
and all of that. Yeah.
you got to keep working your angles for bookers and reaching out and yeah. No, it's just it's constant. I mean, a lot of that's like also fun. Like networking isn't always a job. A lot of networking is just like you're hanging out with comedians, which is cool
part.
because
it's very fun.
Yeah, it's like you're like drinking beers with comics after a mic, and it's a great time. You're like, yeah, I'm networking. Like, I'm working right now.
I know, working.
Yeah, working right now. But but then sometimes it's like more like hey, I'm visiting from out of town. Here's a clip, and you've gotten 1,000 of these requests in the last month, but look at this one. So that's the harder part of it.
Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Yeah,
that is for sure. But it also, I feel, helps you really grow as a person because you really get to know yourself, some of the goods and dark shadow parts of yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This. Absolutely. Yeah. No, you learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's very challenging, but also really rewarding, I find. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's like you said, like those shows when you just like crush, you're like, this is it.
I'm on top of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Kevin Hart's going to call me. I'm going to open up for him in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, not yet.
Not yet. Well, he might.
Yeah.
After we're done recording, he's calling.
He'll call us both. We'll both open
he'll call
up
us
for
both.
him.
Yeah. We're each doing 10. It's going to be a good time.
These are very two different paths that you walk, to pilot path and public service and performing arts. So I don't know how you measured success as a co-pilot, but I'm sure you did. I mean, notably staying alive, probably one marker for sure. But now, I mean, how did you measure success then, and how do you measure success now as a stand-up comedian?
That's a good question. The success then now is a little bit easier because they have, like, talking about structure, they have benchmarks. It's like first you go to flight school and you do first it's ground school, and then you get into a Cessna and you fly that, and then you go back to school, and then you get into a T6 and you fly that, and then you go back to school, and then you get into a helicopter, you fly that. And then that was just in flight school part. And then you're into the Coast Guard part, and then you got to get right seat co-pilot. Then I'm this is like, I'm trying to remember the stages, and I'm like,
there's cobwebs. We're pulling them out in the head right now.
I think I'm like 8 years removed from it or something. Okay. Anyway, but like, there's stages to it, and like you just keep working towards the next one or whatever, like a video game. But then I think you could say the same about stand-up, but it is a little bit murkier, and what it like used to be good isn't necessarily now, and the metrics are always changing. And I say the overall, like, if you're continuing to get better as a performer, and that's a little bit vague, but I like the more you're in it, the more you'll know. That's kind of all you need. Are your jokes, are your sets getting funnier, your laughs getting more consistent and bigger, and then you can get into like where you're performing and stuff like that. Now that's not always as reliable because sometimes it just takes a while to get noticed by people. But if you're continuing to get funnier, I think that's like the main goal of it. But I don't know, it's really interesting because just talking about like changing benchmarks, like it's almost like where late night used to make you, it's like you could go on late night to fairly low fanfare now. I know a comedian in particular who's like been on a couple times and like still does not have representation, like would accept it, but like, you know what I mean? Like you'd think like anybody who's been on broadcast TV is like would have an agent or manager, and it's like no, not necessarily. JFL used to be like a benchmark, and then that went under, and I guess it's coming back, but it's like
JFL, just for laughs?
Just for laughs, yeah.
That's in Canada, right?
That's in Montreal, yeah.
There we go. Okay, good.
Yeah, and but
I'm
like,
learning more. Maybe that'll help.
well, I was saying it went bankrupt like a couple years ago, but
okay.
they're like it's like restarting. But you know what I mean? It's just like it's so it's hard to know with those kind of things specifically, but yeah, if you're continuing to improve in finding like your feel more in your voice and doing better on stage, then that's yeah, I think that's the ultimate goal.
I bring up an interesting point with the way it was with late night TV
Yeah.
and now with the social media followers. And as you were saying that, I was thinking, that makes sense because before social media, the largest media influence there was where the most eyeballs could see you
Right.
was late night TV.
Right.
But now that there's the internet and your phone in everybody's hand, that means the numbers are greater in terms of
for sure.
potential reach through social media, which makes it the new late night benchmark.
Yeah. I mean, a little ways it's like you could look at it as good as it's sort of taking away some gatekeepers, but also then it's a little bit just shifting them. Because now, like, I play the game because it seems like that's what works. Like, if you have a big following, you're going to get more bookings or you're going to be able to sell your own audience, which is like the ultimate goal.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's really difficult. Like it's hard to make stuff work on social media too. So
yeah, it's very interesting. And then also the challenges that comedians in the industry now talk about, especially ones coming, for lack of a better phrase, old guard to what's
sure.
the transition into this new guard, just to label it something, is how because of less gatekeepers, it can muddy the waters of the quality of the craft to what it really is. And so what can happen and has happened is they have a great social media following, but they really can't do 35 minutes of stand-up. So that's happening too. Not always and not in every case, but that's part of what's happening too.
I think, or I hope those cases are sort of self-correcting.
Yeah,
where it's like,
I think so.
People will, you can only do that for a little bit, like, because you can get big on social media and then you can sell out something. And a lot of times it's like, if somebody's kind of making funny videos that aren't stand-up, they blow up and then they can sell a room. So they get booked at a wherever, a club or a theater. But then they go and it's a bad show because they just didn't really understand. Not only are their fans not going to want to come back, like they're not, like it's not a good feeling to go up there and do that. So I think that's a little bit self-correcting. But yeah, or people, we'll say the same about like crowd work where it's like, that's it, but this clips do very well. So like,
I know that's an interesting controversy too. Yeah,
that's always hard to know. But I do think at the end, like if you're a very good act and you continue to get better, you will get into more clubs. You will get, you'll at least be on the right path. You still may need to grow a thing, and you might need to find your angle into having people that want to come out and see you. But
and at the end of the day, we're all growing. Even the greats that are household names that everybody knows all talk about growing too. So, I don't think any of us exactly arrive if we're given gifts and talents, and we can continue to improve upon those gifts and talents. So there's that too. There's a lot of people that think careers follow a certain linear path, like you were just describing with becoming a helicopter in the Coast Guard. There's like this particular path to go. Then comedy isn't really like
No,
that.
not at all.
What's something you've learned about detours that you think people need to hear?
Can be very fun. I think kind of mentioned before, like screenwriting, you could say for me was a detour. And
Yeah.
now it's like a, a main prong in my attack on entertainment, between stand up and screenwriting. Like those are my two main areas of focus. And I've tried I've like done little acting classes and improv, and I've done a lot of very fun things. And I haven't stuck with those as much. Like, they haven't resonated as much. But you might find like, oh, you might have like this want to do something creative or funny or whatever that is, and you think it's this path, and then you find out it's something else. So I say, like, especially in your first, like, whatever years of entertainment, it's like, try it all. Yeah. Who knows? Try everything. And you might find something you like a lot more. I guess there's something to say about being focused too. I think Nate Bargatze said, he's like, you kind of have to have one, like, at some point you kind of have to have like one thing you focus on. And it certainly worked for him. So I can't say that's bad advice, but I do think like finding that thing, you kind of have to try a little bit too.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree with that. If the younger version of you, maybe early Coast Guard days,
Yeah, sure.
could see what you're doing now, what do you think he would say? The
Oh
younger
gosh,
version?
I don't know. I think he'd be excited about.
Yeah.
I do. I think he'd be excited about the comedy stuff.
Yeah.
Because I always had that on the back of my head. So I think that would be exciting. I think he'd be horrified by married life. I think he'd say, "What the heck?" Well, no, this is.
She might listen to this, Noah.
No, this not. So, okay, let me rephrase this.
Okay, let's do that.
Current Noah, love married life. I'm psyched about it.
Yeah.
But like a younger version of myself would have been like, "What are you doing? You guys just sit on the couch and you watch TV and stuff." But like when you're married and when you're doing like stand up, like this like home is like my haven. Like I don't want to do anything else other than come home, like, and like hang out with my wife, and like we can do very little and just have a great time together. And it's just but like when a younger me would be like wanting to go out every night and do all this stuff. You mean. And now that is my nightmare. Like I couldn't do that. I couldn't go and do that stuff anymore. I would just be like exhausted and hungover and be terrible. So I think proud on the comedy, horrified by marriage. But that's when you change, you're like, oh, your wants and needs change too. And now I'm very, very happy with married life. It's good. It's a good time.
I'm glad we provided some context around that.
Yeah.
In case
don't clip that early, please.
So not Mrs. Miller understands what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's good. You've had to start over in a new industry, build relationships, and prove yourself from the ground up. What's something surprising you've learned about resilience since switching careers?
Yeah, hard-headedness is like very important. And that's another thing where like I don't attribute it to a lot of other than just like I'm kind of wired in that way. And like again, like it's just some things that I am able to do that a lot of people seem to be like, I would never do that. Like, I don't know. I stand on the street corner and I sell tickets for 2 hours to get 5 minutes on stage or something like that. And it just doesn't. And I think people, like a lot of people would be very surprised. Like, I think about it sometimes when I'm out there. I was like, oh, I used to fly a $20 million aircraft. And
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 now
now
I'm here.
I'm like trying to get
They call them barkers, right?
yeah, now you're
Yeah.
barking and you're trying to get
Yeah.
some guy from Lithuania to buy a $10 ticket from you. So it's like a big sharp contrast, but like for me it's always just been kind of logical too. It's like, yeah, well, this is a game, this is how you play it. There's a little bit of the same in like, I think you kind of need that in the military as well. If you're like going through a boot camp or something and you're like, you can't take anything too seriously. You're just like, this is the game. You got to play it. Yeah. Okay. I didn't tie my shoe right. Okay. I'm going to do push, whatever. Um, so having just like a little bit of hard headedness is, I think important. And again, I don't know what it is. It's just, just resigned to the fact, like, if you want to make it, that's how you make it. And yeah, don't take yourself too seriously.
Those are some good lessons. Well, as we wrap up here, the final question is, how can the Laughers get in touch with you on social media or otherwise to get more information?
Yeah, well, luckily for the Laughers, I'm on all of them.
You're on everything, even TikTok. You do the TikTok?
I got the TikTok.
Oh, you got the TikTok. Okay.
And I think I cornered this marketer. I got the handle Hello Noah Miller for almost everything, I think. So
Okay.
if you Hello Noah Miller, if you look that up, you can find me. Oh, this is important. There's another Noah Miller out there on TikTok, actually, who is doing so much better than me. I'm talking millions of followers.
Oh my goodness!
So
is he funny too?
He's funny too. He's not a stand-up, but he's funny.
Okay.
So you find it if you see millions, that's not me. That's wrong Noah Miller.
Not yet.
Not yet. But a modest amount, that's me. Hello, Noah Miller. And then I got a website, Noah Miller Comedy as well. And I put on I talk about work outside of comedy. I try to put all my show dates and keep people up to date on there as well. So
that story is making me think of another comic we have in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Yeah.
And his name is Chris Porter, but not the already famous Chris Porter
you're
thinking
that's tough. That's tough.
So he made his handle in social media. I am also Chris Porter.
Nice. Yeah.
So maybe on TikTok you could be I am
also
Noah Miller.
Yeah.
Because that could be funny.
Yeah.
And then he actually opened up. Yeah, subscript. And then he actually opened up not too long ago for the real. He said, I am opening up for the real Chris Porter. So then they had the two Chris Porters on one show. Funny. I would love to gone to that show because I guess, unreal Chris Porter.
Yeah.
Or I am also Chris Porter. Is very funny too. So.
Yeah, and you could have had the same intro for both of them. So that's always nice.
Maybe one day I'll have them both on my podcast.
There you go.
There we go. And then maybe one day the two Noah Millers. We don't know what the future holds.
Wait, we don't know. Yeah,
we don't know.
We'll both be there.
That's right. We'll be there for it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Noah, and for sharing your insights, your comedy journey, your wisdom that you've picked up along the way. I'm super excited to see what's in your future. I so enjoy your comedy. I'm so excited that you're coming here June 7th to share it with our lovely laughers here in the Shenandoah Valley and those that come to visit to see it. So thank you again for sharing with us today.
Thank you, Dawn. I'm excited to see you June 7th. Appreciate it.
You better believe it. And also, laughers, thank you for tuning in today. If you liked what you heard, please give it a like, share, tell a friend. Also, we just love everything you're doing to support what's happening and following the show and doing just that, sharing and telling people about it. It means the world to us. Don't forget to grab that free book, from Audible. And when you sign up, that does give us a kickback to keep helping the show grow and get more great content out there. And then lastly, and most importantly, I want to thank you for tuning in, Laughers. Out of all the podcasts out there, you picked us, and we think that's pretty darn special, just like you. Until next time, keep smiling. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Virginia is for Laughers podcast, brought to you by the Funny Womack and Friends. We'll be dropping a new podcast every Wednesday, so check back for another uplifting episode. Come to a FWAF show or let us bring one to you. To find out more, head to thefunnywomax.com. Be sure to share this podcast with a friend, and until next time, cheers.